Hello there, and welcome to this week's Wellbeing Wednesday. Oh, today's going to be a bit of a vulnerable share, to be honest. And so I invite you to put the kettle on, be somewhere cozy, and snuggle up and listen in, because today I'm going to be talking about what are you putting off because you're afraid of getting sick again. Now, it's as a survivor, you and I both understand firsthand the delicate balance of wanting to take steps forward, but also fearing potential setbacks, right? Not wanting to do too much, not wanting to do the wrong thing. And I became aware, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, of the fact that I had been holding back. And so I want to share that with you today, if you'll hold some space for me, because I think it's something that's relatable. I know when I shared it in my group coaching program, Thrivership School, we were all in tears, but tears of connection, tears of understanding, tears of letting go of the fears, in so many ways. So before I dive into this story, if we haven't yet met, let me just introduce myself. My name's Karen Del Maestro. I'm your health coach, resilient routines expert, and I specialize in helping breast cancer survivors to get their life back, to get their energy back, their confidence, more than anything, to feel safe and at home in your body and your mind again after treatment has ended. And I say this because feeling safe is something that you may or may not be feeling yet again. I want you to know that it's possible. So let me dive into this this huge light bulb moment, as Oprah would say, that I had a couple of weeks ago. Now, as a coach, I believe in the power of coaching and mentorship. I have for decades. I've always had a coach. I've always had a mentor. I've had therapists on and off. I believe in getting the support that I need to make sure that I'm not stuck, to make sure that I'm not living in a dark place up here. You know what I mean, right? To make sure that I get the support that I deserve to keep moving forward. And so that's something that I've always done. And I recently stumbled upon a new mentor. And so I've kind of been soaking up her low cost classes, her free master classes that she's been teaching, and all of these things, to be in the room, to see if she's possibly going to be a new mentor for me. And it was during one of her 3-day events that I actually had a huge breakthrough. This is the power of mentorship, right? Mentors and coaches help you see through things that have been holding you back. And sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's uncomfortable. But when we can release these roadblocks, we get to keep moving forward. And that's part of the reason I wanted to talk about this today, is because I know many of you might be holding back and not even realizing it, right? So, so what happened, and this was with a through a business lens. So this is a mentor for my coaching practice. And we were talking about what were some roadblocks that were holding us back. And there was the fear of failing. There was the fear of the work not being good enough. And I've done a lot of work on these roadblocks previously and these mindset shifts. So I was okay with those. And then came along the fear of success. And initially I was like, oh no, I'm not afraid of being successful. I've got a really strong mission, right? Which is to support breast cancer survivors. This is something that after my own treatment was downloaded into me, right? I know I was put on this earth to do what I'm doing. So I didn't think that that was mine, but I remained open. I remained willing to be coached in a room. with dozens and dozens and dozens. Actually, it was close to 200 people in this room. Okay. So I was a small speck in this room, but I'm soaking it all in and I'm open and I'm willing to be coached. And what she said was one of the ways that we might be afraid of success is our body letting us down. Oh, that one hit. That one hit hard for me. Now, like you, I've been through breast cancer. Maybe like you or not, I carry the BRCA2 genetic mutation, making me at high risk for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and melanoma, eye cancer, various other cancers. But it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that for me. It might be for you. It was the fact that just over a year ago, or just under a year ago, sorry, I almost lost my life. I'd had a hip replacement. And if you're a candidate for hip replacement, please do not think that this is automatically something that's going to apply to you. There were multiple factors involved. A cancer diagnosis, the fact that I'd had a certain vaccination for COVID in the UK. There were certain reasons that put me at really high risk of these complications that I'm going to share with you. So please don't assume that you're going to walk down this path, because I'm going to hold space for you that you are not. But like I said, I want to be real with you. I want to be honest with you and transparent with you. And so what happened just under a year ago was I had hip replacement surgery. One of the complications is blood clots. And I ended up with a blood clot in my calf. Now, I'm really fortunate that I know how to listen to my body, and I knew something was wrong. I was even being told by my physical therapist, no, I don't think it's a blood clot. But I listened, right? And I just asked my doctor, and he said, you know what? Let's just do a scan, a Doppler scan. It's super easy. It's like an ultrasound on your leg. And let's find out. So I go, and they goo me up with that gooey gel. You know it well, right? And lo and behold, I had a blood clot in my calf. And so that meant that my recovery from my hip replacement shifted a little bit, right? We had to pull back a little bit. We had to take things easier. I had to manage that delicate balance between rest and still moving, much like after we've gone through breast cancer, right? We have to find that rhythm that works for our body in that moment, and giving myself permission to kind of ease up again from where I had already gotten to with my therapies. And I wasn't upset. I wasn't frustrated. I used very loving and nurturing language with my body. I said, body, whatever you need, whatever time frame you need, I'm with you through this. But what happened, and you have to excuse me if I get emotional here, because this was a difficult thing to go through. What happened was one Saturday morning, I got up from bed and went to the bathroom, as we do. And walking back from the bathroom, I felt really weird. My heart was racing. I felt dizzy and lightheaded, and I did not feel good. I'd never had this sensation before in my life. And I've been an athlete. And so between being an athlete, being a health coach for over a dozen years, I've been pretty well tuned into my body for a long time now. And I'm like, this isn't good. I don't like this. And so I ended up calling an ambulance, and my vitals were all fine. Right. So I could very easily have just said, no, that's okay. But I didn't. I listened. And I went to the hospital. And because I just had hip surgery, thankfully, and because of the complication of having a blood clot in my calf, the emergency room doctor said, let's do a CAT scan of the hip and let's do a CAT scan of the chest. And so it turned out that I had 3 pulmonary embolisms. 3 bits of the blood clot had broken off and ended up in my lungs, both sides. It was scary. It was scary. And I'm not going to go into all of the things that happened, but it did involve a couple of blood transfusions. It involved being transferred to a different hospital. And it was 4 days before I was really in the clear, and we knew that I was going to make it. The whole time, And I remember my daughter even saying to me, Mom, I don't know where you go, but you go somewhere. Like, you're not here when you're healing, when you're going through something so tough like this. Where do you go? And I said to her very clearly, I go inside, and I remember why I fought so hard to be here as I went through breast cancer. I remember why I am here on this earth. And yes, it's to travel with my husband. Yes, it's to spend time with my family and see my grandson grow up and see my kids grow up. But there's something else for me, and then maybe for you too. Because as I said, after I went through breast cancer, I got a nudge. I got a nudge. And that was that everything that I have been through was to help shortcut your pain, specifically for breast cancer survivors. Specifically. So as I'm lying in hospital, as I'm really out of it, I'm on pain meds like crazy. I'm at a 9 out of 10 out of pain. I was dehydrated. A lot of stuff was going on. Medication, ended up having surgery. Like I said, a lot of moving pieces. And what I realized a couple of weeks ago as I was in the room with this coach was that even though I didn't think so, even though I was continuing to coach my one-on-one clients, even though I was continuing to create programs to support you, even though I was showing up in my group coaching program, Thrivership School, I wasn't fully showing up because I was afraid. I was afraid that something would happen to me again, or that I'd get sick again, or that I wouldn't have the energy or be able to show up the way that I want to be able to show up for you, which is fully and with an open heart and transparent. And so I'd kind of been holding back. And I want to apologize to you for that, because that means that maybe we would have had an opportunity to already have gotten you further forward in your journey than you are right now. But I'm not going to hold back anymore, because my vision to support breast cancer survivors worldwide, to let them know that they are not alone on this journey, to let them know that just because their doctor's telling them it's normal to not have energy does not mean that you just have to suck it up and make do with the amount of energy that you have or don't have, right? I've got a really big mission and purpose that is pulling me. And what I realized as I was in this sacred space, very similar to the sacred space that I hold for you in Thrivership School, is I got to be honest, and I got to be vulnerable, and I got to be real, just like I am right now. And we don't find those spaces very often in life. But I'm sharing this because when I shared this in my group coaching program, Thrivership School, it opened the door. It opened the door for some really real and vulnerable conversations that we all held space for, that we all poured love into, that we all supported, because it's in this vulnerability that we get to shift, that we get to change, just the way I was able to. And I don't wait on this. When I learn something, I want to shortcut somebody else's pain. I want to shortcut your pain. I want to help you jump over these hurdles, or skip over them, or hop over them, or whatever it might be, right? And so I'm curious, as I'm sharing this, are you realizing perhaps that you found yourself holding back on certain goals or activities out of a deep-rooted fear of getting sick again? Ask yourself, right? Because what we saw in Thrivership School was how common it is for survivors to put off things that they genuinely want to do, just like I did. Whether it's starting to eat healthier and embracing some other healthier habits, whether it's engaging in exercise, or even like getting back out socially, right? Because of lingering fears of recurrence. And that's why I wanted to talk about this today. So let's talk about a few things that you might be avoiding. And again, this is coming from a place of love here and support. This is not judgment. We are just observing where we are and what we get to move through. Often we might be afraid of eating healthier because the change feels overwhelming, and perhaps you're worried that you won't stick to it, right? If you've got a history of not sticking to diets in the past or not sticking to other plans, then it's normal that you might have that fear. Get it? You might be afraid that physical activities or exercise might be too much for your body, right? And it's just going to make your body crash, or you're going to be out of it for 2 weeks and you can't afford to do that. Or maybe you're already dealing with muscle and joint pain, because of continuing medications. And you're like, oh, is it too much? I don't want to hurt more, because you're already hurting. And perhaps you're holding back on pursuing personal goals and passions because you might feel like you need to take it easy, right? Perhaps you've heard yourself saying, what's the point of putting in the effort? Will it be worth it? And the thing is that these hesitations often lead to feeling frustrated, feeling guilty, feeling stuck, all of which are so common, but not often talked about. You're not alone, my friend. You're not alone. Now, you might wonder why this happens. And I'm a fan of always exploring the why, because for me, I've got a very logical brain. And so when I can understand the why, then it helps me. So I wanted to dive into that a little bit, if that's okay with you. Now, what's often not talked about is that going through cancer has a lasting emotional impact. You're not done when treatment ends. You and I both know that. Our doctors will tell us that we're done. Society thinks we're done. Family and friends often think we're done. But you and I both know that you're not done. And often this lasting emotional impact can feel almost harder than when you went through treatment. What many survivors don't realize is that 82.5% of breast cancer survivors are dealing with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so often the fear is not just about getting sick again, but something deeper. It's often about losing trust in your body and feeling that life is fragile. You may have had that thought, am I going to survive? And then you likely made a decision, just like I did with those pulmonary embolisms. I'm like, not done. Got too much work to do. I'm not done. It's not my time. And guess what? I was awarded that. Just like you're here. We were awarded that opportunity. But I want you to acknowledge, if this is how you're feeling, then it's okay to feel this way. These fears are not weaknesses. They are very, very, very natural responses to everything that you have been through. But let's talk about for a second what happens when we're stuck in this place. Very much like me. And if you remember, I apologized earlier because I was not showing up fully and offering you fully the transformational opportunity that I have available for you in Thrivership School. Right? Because I was afraid. But what is that holding back mean for you? What are you missing out on? For me, it's the opportunity and the honor that I get to journey with somebody and help transform them and get them out of this place of fear and moving forward, right? But what is it for you? What are you missing out on? Are you missing out on joy, connection, and even progressing your recovery and getting your energy back? These are big things that you might be missing out on because of this deep, deep, deep rooted fear. So I'd like to share 3 of the most common vulnerable fears that I see survivors experiencing. And I'm wondering if you can relate to any of them. The first one is, what if I push too hard and my body can't handle it, right? I don't want to end up back in a place of burnout or illness. Or maybe you recognize that you went through a huge stressful period or traumatic period within 2 years prior to diagnosis. And you're like, I'm just going to take it easy because I don't want to end up back there. And so what happens though with this is that we often avoid activities that perhaps you once loved. Or maybe you're hesitating to make healthy changes because it feels like it's going to be too much, like it's going to be a major overhaul, and you don't want to feel that feeling. very natural. Okay, but let's just acknowledge, if this is your feeling, acknowledge it. By holding back, though, what you might be missing out on is regaining the confidence in your body, regaining that trust, which is kind of the journey I've been on in 2024. Regaining the trust in my health and my body. I'm here. I feel great. I am so blessed and grateful to be able to say that. But it's been a journey, right? And a mindful journey. And you might be missing out on rebuilding stamina and discovering that your body might actually be stronger and more resilient than you think. And so over time, this fear of doing too much, the fear of burnout might keep you from the experiences that could actually restore your trust in yourself and in your body. Can you see that? I hope so. Another fear that I often hear is, Karen, what if trying something new, or even something as simple as changing something in my diet, causes a recurrence? I want to risk going through that again. I get it. I am in the same boat as you, my friend. And I even carry a genetic mutation that makes me higher risk than most people that have been through breast cancer. Right? 85% of people going through breast cancer do not have this genetic mutation. Only 15% do. But what happens when we're stuck in this place of fear is it can cause you to feel paralyzed, right? Frozen in routines that feel safe and comfortable, even if they're not ideal. Does that make sense? Yeah. But when we're letting this fear drive your choices, it can actually prevent you from exploring new ways, and perhaps even easier ways, to feel energized and resilient. Our brain is wired to want to keep us safe. Again, we're not judging here. We're observing. We're being curious. We're saying, can I relate to this? Is this me? I had to dig deep a couple of weeks ago to realize that fear and get honest with myself. And I was like, wow, I did not realize that that was there. But it was. And guess what? It was really emotional when I released it. And it might be for you too. That's okay. I'm here to hold space for all of that, all of the messiness. And so when we're focused on staying safe and comfortable, it might actually be keeping you from habits that could really genuinely boost your energy, boost your confidence, and your overall health and well-being, right? And so when our brain is focused on keeping us safe, and it takes a certain, get up and go to say, you know what? No, I don't want to feel trapped. I don't want to feel restricted. This isn't what my life is meant to feel like. There comes a point where you get to make a decision and make that choice and say, I guess I'm going to have to do something different. It's really that simple, deciding to do something different. And this is a fear. The third fear is that, and I want to share, somebody actually said this to me the other day. Karen, what if I put in all this effort to eat better, exercise, or reduce stress and all the rest of it, and it doesn't make a difference? What if I get sick anyway? I don't want to get disappointed again. Can you relate to that one? This thought can lead to a cycle of inaction where you actually avoid setting new goals altogether. And you're trying to protect yourself, right? You're trying to protect yourself from the possibility of failing, trying to protect yourself from getting sick again. But here's the thing. If we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same result. So something needs to change. Not everything and not all at once and not a major overhaul. It's actually the opposite of how I teach change, right? Because when we're stuck in that place of fear and just staying here, what we end up doing is we avoid our goals and we end up feeling frustrated, disappointed, right? If you've had that nudge in your life and if you've experienced it, you know exactly what I mean. And you know that you are meant for more. There's a very deep feeling inside of you that might look like something like, wow, I went through this to somehow help others. You might not know how, you might not know what, you might not know when, you don't need to. But if you are not listening to that nudge, my friend, you are depriving yourself of a massive possibility, right? You can miss out on those small wins that could actually gradually start to build your self-confidence again and that trust so that you can feel safe and at home in your body and mind again. And so each of these fears, though completely understandable and recognizable to me too, again, I'm a human being living a human existence just like you. They can become a roadblock to joy, to confidence, and to the progress that you deserve. Taking those small intentional steps, even when you're feeling uncertain, can help you reclaim control of your body and your health again, reminding you of the resilience that you've already shown. And you are resilient. You are here. So when we actually look at these fears, even just addressing them can actually help reduce the fear of recurrence, right? Starting to take these small steps. And here's the reason why it can reduce the fear of recurrence. When you are taking small, intentional steps to support your long-term health, you'll notice that the fear of recurrence starts to melt away. Why? Because fear, my friend, hates action. It thrives when we're stuck. It thrives in that place of doing nothing. Fear hates action. Now, when you were diagnosed, you made a decision, just like I did, to fight for your life. You likely had something in your mind about why you were fighting, what was important to you. Could have been your significant other, your kids, your grandkids, travel, perhaps a business goal. Like for me, mine is, it's all of these things, those personal and impact, right? There's an impact that I want to have on this world to help breast cancer survivors not feel alone, to get their energy back so that they can thrive and keep passing that on and on and on and on. And maybe you, like me, got a nudge for something bigger, something more. So I'd like to finish up today by just sharing 3 gentle steps that you can take today to start moving forward. One is to start to find your one small win. If you're familiar with my community, whether it's my Healthy Living After Breast Cancer community, my one-on-one coaching, or Thrivership School, my 12-month group coaching program, transformational group coaching program, you'll know that I'm a fan of a happy dance. Why? Because when our brain gets to recognize a small win, and if you're in my Healthy Living After Breast Cancer community, you know every Friday I say, what's your one small win for this week? There's a reason for that. It's not just to celebrate each other, which I love about our community. It's for you to focus your brain on a win. And I've watched people over the past 4 years in that community be more open to celebrating wins. And the wins are becoming so incredible, right? And so I invite you to choose one manageable action that helps rebuild confidence in yourself this week. It could be adding one colorful food, meaning fruit or vegetable, to your meal. Or it could be taking a 5-minute walk, okay? And then celebrating it. The second gentle step is to reconnect with the present. Focus on your daily intentions. Now, we are in a lot of uncertainty in this world today, right? And that on top of going through breast cancer can feel like compounded traumas, and uncertainty alone is certainly a trigger for many of us after COVID. Okay, so just recognizing this. And one of the ways that you get to cope with this uncertainty, with this spinning you might be feeling, one of the ways that you get to put your foot on the ground is to focus on a daily intention, practicing gratitude, or being mindful for something in that moment to help reduce stress. These foster a sense of control in a world that is very much out of control, that we have zero control over. Okay. And as I'm recording this, it's actually election day in the US, which we don't know what's going to happen, right? And this is not political, but it's a place of uncertainty. It doesn't matter what happens. You still get to take control of your body, your health, and nobody else can do that for you. And the third, the third gentle step that I invite you to try on for size is to set boundaries with self-kindness. Ooh, encouraging you to honor what you need. So whether it's saying no to something that's stress-inducing for you or carving out personal time to just recharge, maybe it's an Epsom salt bath, one of my favorite things. These reinforce self-trust, right? So when we're feeling like we've lost control of our body and our mind and our health and everything that we once knew, getting back to this place of trusting in ourselves and trusting our body, trusting our mind, trusting who we are as a human being, which you may not know yet. Thrivership School helps you on that journey. These small intentional actions can help you slowly rebuild trust in your body and your resilience, shifting you from this place of fear and holding back and missing out on a life that you have been granted to live, to feeling empowered, to take that life, maybe like me, do something you were born to be doing, right? And maybe you don't know what that is yet. I had to wait a long time to get that nudge and get that clarity. And I did a lot of work around it and worked with some amazing coaches to help me get there. But if you're ready to start taking steps to feel more energized, less afraid of your setbacks, then I'd love to invite you to my upcoming masterclass. It's free. 3 keys to get your energy back so that you can feel like you again for what matters most. And as we're coming up on the holidays, I know that that's such an important topic because I can provide supportive strategies to help start eating healthier and feeling more in control without overwhelm. Okay. So more than anything, and if you're still here listening, thank you, or watching, I want you to know that you're not alone, my friend. You have the strength to move forward with the support that you need. Just like I needed, right? The right mentor, the right coach to illuminate what was holding me back. And perhaps I'm that person for you. And coming to the masterclass will be a step for you to try that on for size and see if what I'm saying resonates with your heart and soul, the way that that mentor did with me. But I invite you to remember that each step you take is a gift to you and to your health journey, and a step to feeling safe and at home in your body and your mind and your soul again after you've been through this journey. And you do not need to journey alone. So wherever you're watching this, you will find a link to my brand new masterclass, 3 keys to getting your energy back. Okay, so that you can get back to living life fully again and stop holding back. Thank you for joining me today. I'm holding space for you wherever you may be in this journey, and I hope to see you in the masterclass coming up soon. Bye for now.